I became very sick. Every day I had a different pain. I used to be extremely nervous and had no patience. My name is Renata Lopez de Souza from the state of São Paulo, and I am a pharmacist. My parents taught me about the Spiritism religion, so I was born with this foundation. My mother was Catholic, but she would go to the Spiritism Center, so it was a mix of both religions. Well, I grew up there, so my religious base was Kardecist as well as Catholic, because my family, my grandparents, always wanted us to follow Catholicism. I took Spiritism very seriously, actually both Spiritism and Catholicism. I used to read the horoscope section in the newspapers and magazines, in quite a number of these magazines. I have always been attracted to saints and would make vows to them. Anywhere that seemed willing to change my future, I would give it a try. I would spend not a little, but a lot of money. I heard a lot of this famous line, "We need to make a ritual for you." So whether it was in the woods or by the sea, you name it, I did it. As a result, I was always spending loads of money to bring all those things I would be asked to. I became very ill, and I used to have health insurance that I would use endlessly because I needed it so much. It was a different pain every day. It could be a urinary tract infection, and that was the usual issue. I have had 6 thyroid nodules, breast nodules, gastritis, severe back pain, and for a 22-year-old person to have so many health issues. At 24, I met and got married to my husband, but we would argue a lot. I would control him as I was very jealous. I needed to know where he went, and I always wanted to control his life. I used to be extremely nervous, extremely stressed, with no patience to listen, no patience for anyone. Everything had to be done my way. In spite of all these issues, I persisted with Spiritism, carrying out more rituals, spending more than I ever had, as I had nothing left. I was tired of knocking on so many different doors, Spiritism, Catholicism, evangelical churches, until we decided to knock on the last door because we could not find a solution. We were passing by and saw the Universal Church and decided to go in. As we had never been there, we knocked on this door and hoped for the best. We came in, and I remember it was on a Friday. We arrived in a deliverance meeting, and though I didn't understand a thing, we sat at the back and stayed there. I got cured from the breast nodules and the thyroid nodules in a Friday service. I had the tests to prove that this happened, but I was still knocking from door to door, as I had so many doubts. In the Universal Church, they would ask for offerings, talk about the tithe, and all of that was absurd to me. Not long after, it was time for the campaign of Israel. I thought this was madness for people to be making all these sacrifices. I would remain in my seat, cross my arms and say, "Nope, I don't accept that." So I was very resistant. I had that inside of me as well as a lot of doubts, and would dispute things and argue with the pastor. I always wanted to question so many things and didn't want to obey. I was still practicing Spiritism for the following 1.5 to 2 years. I just couldn't leave or abandon it completely. I continued to do all that I used to do before, thinking it would work, but no real changes happened in my life. There were some small things that would happen, but things were mostly static. Nothing great happened, no transformation, because I was in the church, but reluctant, struggling inside with so many whys, several doubts, as nothing I wanted to see happened. I would think, why is it that they give their testimonies and I have nothing? See, I dared to question why I wasn't seeing what others saw in their lives, and this was ridiculous. It was so simple, but I couldn't understand that I needed to obey.
Eu não fazia o que ela
There was a pastor that used to tell me from the very beginning, you have to seek God first. And I would say, this pastor is so annoying. He doesn't give up and he doesn't know anything.
Você primeiro tem que buscar.
I didn't want to accept the truth. I just wanted to do it my way.
Ele não sabe nada desse.
As I had always done, I wanted everything to be done my way, so I also expected this when I got to the church.
Eu sempre quis tudo do meu jeito.
However, nothing happened for me like this.
Só que não acontecia nada. Até que dia,
when the Temple of Solomon was inaugurated, I came with my husband, and in the sanctuary, something very unusual happened to me.
Foi uma coisa assim.
God spoke strongly within me that I needed to give up my will.
Tinha que abrir mão. E a partir desse dia,
From that day onwards, I started to be focused. So I abandoned the other ways and chose to walk with Jesus.
escolhi andar com o Senhor Jesus.
From that day, I became more open as I now understood what giving up my life meant.
Eu entendi o que
I have learned to accept God's will and to give up my own.
Então, fazer a vontade dele.
I have also abandoned my pride, having always been such a proud person, and this pride disrupted my life so much. I understood that things were different and that I had to give up my ways to correct the mistakes I used to make. But it wasn't that easy. 22, 23 years of doing things my way? When you suddenly have to give that up, this is very hard. However, because I wanted to, I left everything. Religion, necromancy, tarot, and all such behind. I can clearly remember the day I received the Holy Spirit. This was at Mrs. Esther's book launch. I will never forget that day, as I can't forget what she said. It was just a few words, but they were directed at me. That afternoon, I really was baptized with the Holy Spirit. It was the confirmation I needed, and there were no doubts anymore. Renata has changed. People can see the difference. Like my mother, and whether she likes it or not, she recognizes that today I am a different Renata. I now know to listen to my husband. I am now balanced. I am healthy. My life is totally complete and restored. That humiliating life we used to live is gone. I don't care about tomorrow, as I know that God will take care of it. During the times of the campaign of Israel, we are not afraid of going all in, as I have already the greatest treasure, and that is the Holy Spirit. Our life has to glorify God's name, to be able to help the work of God, as this is the bigger pleasure we have. Of course, I want to have a good life. I want to have a nice house, to travel, but it is not worth having only that. And what about those people in need? We think about that a lot, like building a church in prison. Sure, we can help with this. We can't build this on our own, but we can help with something. We have that desire in us, and we are always giving. It doesn't matter what God asks. We always go to the altar. God doesn't owe us anything. Our life today is abundant, and I can say that in times like these are when we are always closer to God. We always respond to His call towards us and don't turn our backs to Him. I am not afraid to obey, but rather fear what could happen if I did not. Because if I stopped obeying, what would happen? We do not play with or question God in any way. I questioned too much before, and that only made me struggle. My life is now 100% on the altar. Obedience and the Holy Spirit above all else. Because all other things will be added for sure. This is what happens.
De fato, acontece mesmo.